Ooh, Damon, I know Darryn Peterson was watching that, and I know KU is terrified.
Welcome on into the AZ Wildcats post-game show live from Studio K, presented by the fine folks over at Circle K. I'm your host, Damon Fairall, a.k.a. Damon Dog. He's my co-host, Kevin Thomas, a.k.a. Kevo Post. We are the AZ Wildcats post-game show here, AZ Wildcats podcast, and we are going to be talking about an absolute defensive masterclass by way of the #1 Arizona Wildcats as they get the job done, 84-47 over Oklahoma State. And of course, this post-game show is sponsored by our friends over at Branded Bills. Head on over to brandedbills.com, use promo code BBPHNX, and get 15% off the ultimate headwear and apparel in the game. You see me and Kevin rocking some Branded Bills here on this post-game show. And Kevin, what a performance. We were talking about how this is maybe an interesting matchup, just given the way that Oklahoma State is a middle-of-the-pack team in the Big 12, something that maybe you don't see all that often, and then Arizona goes out there and they do that.
I mean, unbelievable, Damon. You breaking records in a conference, and it's only your second year in the whole damn conference. I love this. I love this performance for Arizona. We have to mention it off the top. 23 straight victories, Damon. The longest winning streak officially in school history. I know I said on this very podcast that if a winning streak goes over the course of 1914 to 1917, I think we're safe to say that 22-0 was the longest winning streak. But regardless, now it's official. The longest winning streak in program history, and also the best start to a season in Big 12 basketball history. An unbelievable feat when you think about some of the Big 12 basketball teams that have graced the court over the last, I don't even know when the Big 12 was invented, but over the last thousands of years of Big 12 basketball, right? Arizona best start, and now one win at Fog Allen away from breaking the Baylor record for 20, well, I guess you'd be getting 24, but they have 23 consecutive wins. You have now tied the longest win streak. So you break the record for best start, but you tie the record for best win streak overall, and now you have a chance to go into Kansas and make real Big 12 history. Unbelievable team. People in the chat are saying, like Roberto the Coffee Guy, saying that this was the most dominant performance of the season. I mean, Oklahoma State just put up almost 100 points on BYU. That's a fact. Anthony Roy looked like one of the best guards in the country against BYU. That's a fact. And you and I are watching this game, and I'm saying to you, is Oklahoma State going to score 35 points in this game total? It's the most unbelievable defense you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Damon, you're tweeting about the Desert Storm defense of it all. Like, the way this Arizona team came out and played defense today was unbelievable.
You'd think Teddy Bruschi and Sean Harris and Brandon Sanders were running around back there. Shout out my guy Brian in the chat. I hope Brian catches that one. But, yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. The level of defense, the intensity they were playing with. There was a point where, Anthony Del Orso, who wasn't having the best game from a shooting standpoint. He added some, pretty nifty passes in between, but it felt like he was also bringing it defensively. He knocked the ball away on that switch when he matched up with Oklahoma State's center. Got wrongfully called for a foul, in my opinion, on that one. And then, of course, there was a play late in the second half where there was a loose ball, and you were like, okay, Deli, you started laughing because the game was completely out of reach. It's a 40-point game. And you have your seniors like Anthony Del Orso, maybe a guy who is supposed to be a shooter, just diving on the floor for loose balls like the entire national championship is on the line right now, and you're in a one-possession basketball game. And I think that's why this team is #1, is because they don't look ahead to Kansas on Monday night. As we talked about in the pregame show, could that be a worry? It's all about whatever the task at hand is, and they went out there and they went belt to ass on Oklahoma State. Day after, Arizona softball goes belt to ass on Oklahoma. I mean, I'm starting to think that there's a trend here, and it might just be that we own the state of Oklahoma, Kevin.
I mean, it's certainly all signs point to a resounding yes on that front. Just don't look in the history books. Just keep the history books away from this conversation. But today, I should say, Damon, it was an incredible performance overall. For my money, I do agree with Roberto. This is the most dominant performance of the season. How could you not say it is so? You have the largest lead of the season in the conference for the Big 12. I think it was, 43 was their largest lead in this game? I'll have to double check. But when they surpassed 39, that became the largest lead in any game of Big 12 conference play so far this season. Unbelievable performance. And to your point about Delhi and some of the seniors putting it all on the line there at the very end, I would love to see maybe some of the freshmen put less of it on the line. Koa Peat, maybe let's just bubble wrap that boy until he gets into KU territory. But no, jokes aside, like you don't often see a team maintain that level of tenacity, maintain that level of attitude and focus for that long of a time when you're up by that much. You know what I mean? You are leading by as many points as there are minutes in the entire game. Most teams would not really be having the level of intensity that Arizona did in this one. And, coming into this game, everybody, I think, thought Oklahoma State was a team that could really give Arizona some trouble, at least in the first 10 minutes of the game. Mm-hmm. At least come out and be like, okay, you know what? We were right. This Oklahoma State team, not bad. Their guard's not bad. Steve Lutz, he is cooking. And Tommy Lloyd put the kibosh on all of that. He really said, that's a whole bunch of hooey. I don't want to hear anything about a look-ahead spot. That's garbage. We're going to come out here and execute as if we're playing in Kansas against Darryn Peterson and Bill Self. And that's how they came out here today. And that's honestly, I think, all you wanted to see in this Arizona team. And I really am happy we're not living in a reality where you and I are coming on this show like, are you at all worried about that Kansas matchup after Oklahoma State made it close in the second half? And thankful to Tommy Lloyd, and we're going to get to him later, thankful to Tommy Lloyd that he came out, had the boys energized, had the boys focused, and it looks like they're ready for Kansas come Monday.
Yeah, you talk about being prepped, ready to go, Tommy Lloyd having the team ready to go, but I also think you got to give hats off to Tobe Awaka, who put up, I think, 8 of the team's first 11 points, and I could be wrong here, but I think he might have ended with 8 points on the entire night. So he wasn't adding any more from a scoring standpoint, but he finished with 12 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 blocks. 0 turnovers. Unbelievable game from Tobe Awaka tonight. I think he really was the driving force behind the early lead, Kevin. And Arizona never looked back after that. It was never in doubt. And if Tobe doesn't, give you that kind of flurry early, I don't think that it necessarily would mean that Arizona is all of a sudden in a dogfight with Oklahoma State, because it just feels like we're looking at 2 different levels of teams, and Arizona was undeniable tonight. But Tobe does get credit for kind of the early lead that was built, the first kill shot for 13-3 that was made that kind of came out of nowhere, and he's just absolutely relentless. You also had Steve Lutz after the game, Kevin, say whatever he's getting paid in NIL, worth it. Specifically regarding Tobe Awaka, when asked about him. He's the type of guy, right, that opposing coaches are watching just like foaming at the mouth, being like, what I wouldn't do for this guy on my team, and yet he comes off the bench for them.
I mean, look, I said it on Twitter, and I think they mentioned it on the broadcast as well. Like, this is maybe, for my money, the best rebounder of modern college basketball history, I'll say. I don't have the foresight to go back all the way, but I'll say this much. He's also, for my money, the greatest rebounder in college basketball history to not be starting on his team.
He might be just straight up the best rebounder in college basketball history as is.
True,
but if he's not
starting? But if you want to find some Zach Edey stat or some Andre Drummond stat or whoever the hell, and of course, Julie, we do take questions. Throw a question in the chat. Me and Damon will tackle it, but to the best if we can, at least. But like, for my money, this is the best rebounder potentially of all time in college basketball, and he's not a starter. He doesn't start. And there's no point in the season, barring some sort of mishap, where he is going to start.
Yeah.
And he's okay with it. And you don't have drama, and you don't have a situation where it's like, Tobe Awaka secretly unhappy with his role at Arizona. And no. I think that Tobe Awaka, for my money, the best rebounder to not be starting on his team in college basketball history. I love that Steve Lutz said that, because it's true. And Arizona is lucky to have a guy like Tobe Awaka, who could have heard the rumors, that, I might not be starting next year. That doesn't sound great. I think I'm one of the best rebounders in the country. Why don't I just go play in the SEC and dominate? Why don't I just go fill the hole at Texas Tech that Darion Williams left? Like, there are so many options. That's incredible. Brian Edwards says...
Ethical Dennis Rodman.
He says Tobe is the moral Rodman.
Wow. What a superlative to be given. I mean, unbelievable. And it really is crazy. Like, not that he's not great at other things. I mean, you saw the blocks tonight. Like, he's legitimately, Kevin, people are trying to meet him at the rim, and he's catching the ball out of thin air and then throwing it up the court. Like, he's, the scoring looked good, especially early, but I don't know if I've ever seen a player that's just so elite at one particular thing ever in my entire life. I mean, the guy he's the best rebounder I've ever seen in an Arizona uniform, best rebounder I've maybe ever seen in college basketball. And like you said, just zero ego, puts it straight to the side. And just, I feel like that's what this team makes them so special, is like Tommy has them with this mentality instilled that like they really just are who their coach is.
Yeah.
And Tobe doesn't care about starting. Jaden Bradley doesn't care that Brayden Burries is going to get brought in to get more field goal attempts, despite him being a senior versus a freshman. Like it's solely about winning basketball games and what puts this team in the best position to win these basketball games. And yeah, I mean, it's just it's crazy to watch us be surprised by how good this team is all the time still. Like, they're the number one team in the country. They're breaking records, 23-0, and yet we come into the postgame and we're still like, what do you even say about how good this team is? It really is wild, Kevin. It's fantastic to watch.
It's a team that truly, like you said, is listening to and trying to emulate their head coach, Tommy Lloyd. Because I forget after what game, but it was early on in this undefeated run. There was a reporter that asked Tommy Lloyd about the idea of, how much better can this team get, right? How much better can Arizona be after already being whatever NO at the time? And Tommy Lloyd said, like, you can be as undefeated as you like. You can have as many straight wins as you want, but you still have to try to get better. Mm-hmm. You still have to continue to evolve. And I think that each player on this team has an understanding, a deep understanding, that all these wins are awesome. In fact, they're cute, right? But it doesn't matter if you don't win in March. In fact, for many people, not for this guy, but for many fans out there, it would erase most of this run. It would give it a sour taste, right? Yeah. This run that has been so good for so many months, it would give it a sour taste if Arizona is not able to get you to wherever you want to get with this team.
Indianapolis.
Yes. And Arizona knows that. The guys in this locker room understand that. Evan Nelson understands that. These guys that have been around for a couple years, like Jaden Bradley, understands what it means to the city. Koa Peat knows what it means to Tucson. He's from just up the road, right? So I think this team has a great understanding of the actual goal at hand and what it's going to take to get there and what type of commitment it's going to be. We had Ivan Kharchenkov on the show this week. If you haven't seen that, go check it out on the YouTube page here. But he spoke about what Rondé Hollis-Jefferson told him, is that you have to be an everyday guy. You can't just be a guy that's like, oh, well, I got a double-double in my debut against Florida. I'm just going to take it easy in practice because I know I got the starting job wrapped up now. Yeah. No. All these dudes balling out against these certain teams. Brayden Burries against Alabama. You think Brayden Burries showed up to practice after Alabama, getting ready for Big 12 play like his ish didn't stink? No. These guys are working extremely hard to develop their games and become a better basketball team, and I think that's really admirable because there are a lot of teams across the country that have compiled a lot of talent that don't like to play with one another. They don't mesh. Their games don't make sense. Look at Kansas State. Look at Cincinnati. Look at, I don't know, the ASU to a lesser extent, right? There are so many, Baylor. There are so many teams in this conference where you got a ton of talent. Hell, you might even have a great coach like Scott Drew. But if you don't have the right mix of guys, the right want to, yeah, BYU, great example in the chat as well. You're not going to make it to your ultimate goal. So I think this team has their head squarely on their shoulders and is focused on Indianapolis and how they're going to get there. And look at that score above me. That's how you get there. Handling business when you have 8 games left, 6 of the teams are ranked. This is one of the unranked teams. You got to handle them just like you did today because there's no more room for error going into the last 8.
Yeah, absolutely not. And it just seems like this team is so like singular focused on winning every given game on any night. And I agree with you. I don't think that they do think it matters until it happens in the NCAA tournament, but I still feel like we're watching them treat each game like it is an NCAA tournament game with the intensity that they come out with. And now I will say that, like, we've been, and especially me, have been quick to say that some of the late game stuff I don't like, right? And it feels like there is a little bit of a lapse after these leads are being built, but there's always a response.
Yeah.
There's always a response. And so, even when, that, colossal mess happens against BYU at the end of the game, what happens? Brayden Burries makes one of the best defensive plays of the entire season to end things, because there's always a response with this team. And we're sitting here, we're highlighting all of these great performances, whether it's Tobe Awaka, we're talking about Anthony Delorso, not that it was a great performance, but you saw some things from Delhi tonight. Jaden Bradley was hooping out there. Brayden Burries looked great. Who can you even give King of the Court to, Kevin?
Oh man. If only, genuinely, Damon, this is tough, because if only there was one man who we could really put this success on the shoulders of, like, if only there was a man who, like, almost compiled these guys, like, if only there was a guy who brought these talented hoopers together. I don't know. Oh my gosh. Our King of the Court is Tommy Lloyd tonight, because we didn't feel like singling out any one individual guy. This team is so damn good. You held your Big 12 opponent to 47 points. Tommy Lloyd has changed our lives, and he made this basketball team, and for that, he is our King of the Court, not only tonight, but as long as he is Arizona's head basketball coach. Tommy Lloyd made this team, and he is King of the Court tonight. Damon, what have you say on that one?
Shout out Sean dropping some Tommies in the
Yes.
chat. If you're a supporting club member, please show us some Tommies. We got White Burrito, we got 3DMK also showing some love here, and for good reason, because Tommy Lloyd is the best coach in the country. I keep saying it. Like, if there were stock prices, Kevin, on each coach, when you factor in age, sustainability, what they're doing yearly, what they've shown so far in their career, there would not be a single more coveted stock in the country than Tommy Lloyd's. And that's my basketball coach.
Yeah.
That's my basketball coach.
No, I'm with you. I think Tommy Lloyd is by far the up-and-coming coach in the country right now, in terms of not only what he's been doing for the last 5 years, but in terms of what he's on track to continue to do as a head basketball coach. There are some other coaches that probably deserve a shout in that conversation, like a John Shire, what he's doing at Duke, but I think you operate at a different level of difficulty when you're recruiting and trying to coach at Duke. It's still, the pressure makes it difficult on its own. I'm not trying to say it's an easy job, right? But I think what Tommy Lloyd is doing
Duke
impresses
recruits itself.
Yes, it impresses me a lot more than what Tommy Lloyd is doing at Arizona. And Arizona recruits itself to an extent, right? But not to the same extent that Duke does. So for my money, Tommy Lloyd, like, is that guy. I've been saying it since the preseason, Damon. Look what money does to people, right? You ever have a friend, right, that doesn't really have a job, or they're bouncing between jobs, and so they just don't get a lot of haircuts. Haircuts have become quite expensive, as you can tell. You know what I mean? But look, every once in a while, your friend hits a bet, or your friend comes into some money, and they get a cut, and they start acting different. They have a whole level of new confidence about them, and that's the NCAA championship, Damon. Todd Golden, coming into last season, was kind of under the same general umbrella, hear me out, as a Tommy Lloyd, right? A younger, up-and-coming coach that a lot of people think has a chance to become a special name in this class of coaches. And then you win a national title, and all of a sudden it's Todd Golden has restored Florida to glory. Man, strap in for the next 10 years of Florida basketball, because it's about to be a whole bunch of Todd Golden W's coming to soon. Look at this year, right? So I think Tommy Lloyd is the coach right now that has the world in front of him. If he is able to succeed in March this year, people are going to start having some crazy conversations about Tommy Lloyd that are not going to sound crazy to Arizona Wildcat fans, because we've been having them for 5 years now, right? Is Tommy Lloyd the best coach in the country? Is Tommy Lloyd the best young up and coach? You know what I mean? We've been having these conversations for so long, but I think if he's able to get that March validation, Damon, it will level him up nationally to a place where it's like, I don't know. Maybe you start getting into that Arizona recruits itself class if Tommy Lloyd kind of elevates himself and is young enough, like he is, to continue to succeed there.
Yeah, I think, and Arizona does recruit itself to an extent, just not to the level that Duke does, right?
Yes.
And I think really the draw is going to be Tommy Lloyd, the best coach in the country, a guy that not a single one of his players has a bad thing to say about. Even the players that have left the program, I'm sure that Henry Vasar, who's playing a game right now against Duke, and KJ Lewis would tell you that, yeah, they like Tommy. Maybe it didn't work out, or maybe they wanted a bigger role elsewhere or whatnot. But, I'm certain that, like there was never like a disconnect from a personality standpoint, right? And that's just because he's that dude from a off the court, on the court standpoint, you name it. And we're blessed to have Tommy Lloyd as the head coach of this basketball program. Truly are. We're going to hit our first ad break on the AZ Wildcats postgame show. On the other side of this break, we'll be bringing on our guy Saul Bookman live from McKale Center, giving his postgame notes on everything that happened. I do want to say, Julie, I think you might be in the wrong place. We have a PHNX Sun Devils podcast that we do 5 times a week on this very same channel.
This channel isn't we, but these two guys, you got Totri and Eric Ruby serving you up over
We're
there.
not talking Cutter Bully on the AZ Wildcats podcast, but of course we do talk Cutter Bully about every single day here, Monday through Friday. Anthony Totri, Eric Ruby. So make your way on over to that one. I'm sure they'll interview Cutter Bully very, very soon. And we're all excited to watch Cutter Bully here in the great state of Arizona. But we'll be right back after this first break here on the AZ Wildcats podcast. Do not go anywhere.
I mean, look, Damon, Tommy Lloyd built this team so well, so strong, with such a good foundation. Dare I say, you might think he was shopping at the Window Depot, because when you shop at the Window Depot, you will learn that it is just so much more than a window store, Damon. Now is the perfect time to kick off that home renovation project because the vibes are high. Arizona's winning. There's no stress. There's no negativity. You're going into it with pure heart. So do that home renovation right now because they have the best price, best inventory guaranteed. And it's Arizona made, locally trusted, and they manufacture their windows proudly in where? Tucson. So if you want to support Tucson, support the Window Depot. Their contractors that use them and the homeowners that renovate with them love the Window Depot, because whether you're remodeling a kitchen or tackling that multi-family build, their expert staff and no membership policy make it easy to get what you need fast. Visit thewindowdepot.com and get started on your next project today. Stop by one of the Window Depot's 7 Arizona locations and see for yourself why they're way more than just a window store.
Kevin, we all from time to time are sitting down thinking, it'd be nice, a little Vegas getaway, Vegas vacation. But you know what's not nice? That Vegas drive, that Vegas flight, those Vegas smells, those Vegas prices, right? But you know what is great? All the great things about Vegas right in your own backyard here at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. All 4 locations, whether it's Lone Butte, Santan Mountain, V Kiva, or Wild Horse Pass, are all doing their Vegas vibes in Phoenix Vegas residency right now. From now through April, they're bringing the excitement of Las Vegas straight to you, whether it's exclusive concerts, extended DJ sets, showgirls, chef-driven dining, pop-up bars, and surprise cameos. Plus, you don't miss out on the fabulous Corvette giveaway that you've heard us talk about all throughout the last couple of months, giving out 4 Corvettes in April over at Santan Mountain, April 27th, Lone Butte, April 28th, V Kiva, April 29th, and Wild Horse Pass, April 30th. For more information on that, visit playathgila.com. And don't miss your chance to accelerate into luxury, play, earn, and win at any of our 4 casino locations.
Arizona's doing a whole lot of playing and winning right now on the AZ Wildcats postgame pod, Oklahoma State edition. Sorry, Joklahoma State edition.
There we go.
47-84 is your final score. My goodness, that's an unbelievable read. But look, Damon, as we continue to break this one down, why not talk about our by the numbers? Because we already gone over King of the Court. Let's break down our by the numbers. And as you can see, your final score is a lot to a little. Field goal percent 52-25. Oh my goodness, Arizona. That defense was unbelievable. 14% from 3 though, Damon. Not pretty. But you also almost doubled up your opponent shooting just 2 made threes. Oklahoma State, 21% from 3. Rebounding, I believe I had that number flipped. I definitely had that number flipped.
Yeah,
56-35.
Did we lose the rebounding battle for the first time?
No, that is an error on my part. Arizona, 56. Oklahoma State, 35. That is correct, though. Paint points, 54-14, and the turnovers, 12 there. So my mistake on the rebounds. But you get the gist.
Paint
Arizona
points,
dominated
man.
it.
Paint points, 54-14, dude. Unbelievable. As our guy Ayrton walks through the door and turns on all the lights in the studio. We're burning. We're burning. Shout out to our guy FGT here. Super chat $2 as we fix this light situation. Best show on the tubes. Appreciate you, FGT. Kevin, would you actually mind closing that door too?
Yeah, I'm gonna close that door. Also, hell of a time for this comment to pop up. You know what I mean? Hell of a time as our light situation goes absolutely crazy. But Damon, do you mind breaking down this by the numbers a little further for us?
Yeah, I was just pointing out the paint points, 54-14, unbelievable. And really, I think goes to show this 3-point conversation that has been had all season long with this fan base, right? When you're talking about the discourse in regards to the lack of 3-point shooting, right? Not the inability to shoot threes, but the lack of 3-point volume. And Arizona doesn't really need to shoot threes at all tonight against one of the better 3-point shooting teams that they'll face all season long. Oklahoma State is a really solid perimeter shooting team. And then the Cats just go out there and say, okay, if you're going to give up size in way of perimeter shooting, then that's where McKale Krivas and Tobe Awaka and Koa Peat and Brayden Burries just eat it up in the paint. And you saw that tonight against Oklahoma State. That's why you can't necessarily play like a smaller type of team against the Wildcats and expect to get a W.
Agreed. And also, no, Roberto, OSU did not have 56 rebounds. I had an error on the graphic.
Kevin's a freaking clown is what happened.
No, every morning I wake up, makeup, nose. That's my morning routine. You know it.
I've never made a mistake on a graphic before in my entire life.
No. A D-backs graphic error? Never. That would never happen, especially not when I was producing, because as we know, my baseball knowledge is top notch. But Damon, this defense has been absolutely incredible. You likened it to the Desert Swarm. 3DMK says in the chat, oh my God, Roy, 10 points. This defense turns great teams into good ones and good ones into bad ones, as Oklahoma State falls in that good team category. When they played Arizona today, they looked like an awful team. We talked to Ivan Kharchenkov the other day, and I'm glad Saul is in the midst of joining here pretty soon, because this defensive connection that they have, the way that they're on a rope, right? The Brayden Burries out of bounds save to keep the ball in bounds, to throw it to Kharchenkov, and then it ends up with that, Jaden Bradley dunk. This defense is unbelievable, and I think it's what makes this team not just like great, but special, in my opinion, right? Because if we're talking about how they're going to be able to cut down nets in March and how they're going to get to the Big 12 championship and whatnot, how they're going to get to their goals, it starts on that defensive end, and I think this team has the chops to do it. A guy that I think has the chops to level up our basketball knowledge just about every single postgame is one Saul Bookman. We welcome in the book, Saul Bookman. How are we doing, Saul?
We're doing all right. We're here, we're alive, and we're ready to move on to Monday.
Moving on to Monday, Arizona 23-0, the greatest start in Big 12 basketball history. Saul, I will give the floor to you a little bit, because me and Damon, the young bucks on this podcast, you have more wisdom than Damon and I. But just how special, especially in the Big 12 conference, that's kind of where we started the show at. How special is this team in a conference that is made up of special programs to have the greatest start in conference history in just their second year as a part of it?
I mean, it's really impressive. It kind of, it just kind of cements Arizona's, legacy in terms of why they belong in this conference in the first place. Not that there was any question from the Big 12 folk about like, oh, is Arizona basketball really, really legit? Because everybody knows that they were. But I think there were a little bit of questions about Arizona's legitimacy to be able to really like bow up and get physical and kind of play a different style of basketball than ever before. This is the most physical Arizona team in the history of the program, flat out. That 2013-14 team with Aaron Gordon defensively was really, really good. But physically, they didn't impose their will on teams like this team does. It's just different. It really is. And every coach just about talks about that. They're like, and I swear they all say the same thing. They say, well, if the refs are going to let Arizona do this, then nobody has a chance. And that's just, listen, you talk about scrappy teams in basketball history. They set the tone from the start. So you know what you're getting into. That's why like Houston's so good, because you know what you're getting with Houston. They come in with that reputation for being a physical team and being a shrewd defensive team. And so all these little patsy, hands, oh, we're going to call this foul. Like that's going to be off the table, because Arizona's going to force you to have to make calls, and they're going to force you to play big boy basketball. And so I don't know if everybody thought that Arizona could get to that level, but in these last 2 years, and especially this year, I think you see that Arizona definitely belongs with the best of the best in the country in terms of physicality, good overall basketball, sound defensive and offensive strategy. And now with the longest streak in Big 12 history, they've kind of cemented their place in the Big 12 in terms of one of the big dogs.
And now you have an opportunity to break the all-time winning streak record in the conference held by the 2019-2020 Baylor and Davion Mitchell squad against Kansas in Fog Allen. I know we're going to break that down with you a little bit here because, I mean, look at the score. We're not going to spend too much time on Oklahoma State, but I do want to throw it to you in terms of your notes for this one because I know you got some notes on this game, even if it might be a little bit
early on the notes
than usual because of the score. Because I know me and Damon want to talk about Kansas. We want to talk about fried Jayhawks, and that's all we want to do.
Okay. All right. Well, here we got some notes, and actually they're longer than ever before.
Wow.
So I know,
that's
surprising,
a real
right?
hoop head, right?
That is
there.
a real hoop head.
That is
a real hooper. If you know, from McKale Madness.
So something that had nothing to do with the game. The intro for Brayden Burries. He's gotten a good round of applause. They all do when they get introed, but tonight was a little louder than normal, and I think it's because the fans are recognizing how well Burries has been playing the last 2 months and really stepped it up. I think he's starting to become, that favorite that everybody thought he was going to be. So that was one. I just can't get over Tobe Awaka's offensive development from year to year. In that first half, just being able to do the different things that he does it's been amazing. It continues to be amazing, and he continues to develop. The space between Arizona's defenders and the rest of the group. And speaking of defenders, we got some of the best walking behind us right now. There you go, Jaden Bradley.
Featuring Jaden Bradley.
There you go.
Jaden
Bradley and Ellie. There we go. The space between Arizona's the gap between Arizona's defense and the offense of the other team, especially in tonight's game, they just shrink that space. They shrink that space so much, and they just know how to play sound defense from beginning to end. And Oklahoma State's coach, I'm blanking on his name,
Steve Lutz.
Steve Lutz. He mentioned that. He mentioned about, like, it's not only about how physical they are, it's that everybody knows where they're supposed to be at any given time. They were throwing the doubles at Clark too, which I kind of liked. They threw, every time they would try to run a pick and roll, Oklahoma State, they threw double teams, and it wasn't an aggressive double team. It was just a double team, and it was the subtle things to push them further away from the basket. So that way it took a little bit more time to get into their set and get into their action. And by the time you look up, you only got like 10 seconds on the clock, and you're running behind the 8 ball. And I just thought these are the small things that winning teams do. And then I loved how intentional they were overall. And then a couple more. Up 33, there's a loose ball, and who dives on that loose ball? Delhi. And then what happens the next two possessions? He gets some really good assists. And so you start to piggyback and start to build one good play after the next. And those are the small things that can help you snap out of a funk. And then lo and behold, he finally hits a three, and you could tell. I don't know if they showed it on the broadcast. I wasn't able to watch the broadcast, but when he hit that three, oh my God, the relief on his face. Yeah. You could tell it was like, finally, I got one to go down. You know what I mean? Like, so I wonder, I'm really interested to see what the carryover effect is going to be for him moving forward. I thought he had a really good game in the second half. I thought he played sound. He made the right decisions and played good ball. And then 5:04 mark, Oklahoma State was shooting just 22% in the game. That is ridiculously good. At one point, they had more time had come off the clock than points scored by Oklahoma State, which is just unbelievable. And then lastly, but certainly not finally, I should say, but certainly never last. Michael Wright, he wasn't here tonight because he passed away in 2015. A really unfortunate set of events.
Tragic, yeah.
But yeah, they had mentioned his name in the intros for the 2001 team that was celebrated here tonight, and we'd be remiss if we didn't mention Michael Wright's personality. For those of you who don't know, what Michael Wright was all about, was much like Tobe Awaka, just a quiet, lunch pail type of dude, balled out all the time. His game was wildly different, don't get me wrong. But man, was he as effective down low on the post, despite not having all the size in the world. It was just really, it was really unfortunate that he wasn't here tonight, but it was great that they celebrated him and remembered to have him as part of this great moment. And it was, when that happened and he came up, I'm not gonna lie, it got me a little bit because, it's like, damn, man, like, it's Michael Wright. He was a fan favorite for everybody, and so rest in peace to Michael Wright.
Yeah, rest in peace to Michael Wright, and almost fitting that this team that might be able to break the curse, if you will, knock on wood, 25 years ago that happened, and that we're celebrating 01 in this season like this.
That is the other thing I should say. Richard Jefferson and Luke Walton both had speeches at halftime, and Richard Jefferson did say that he believes this is the best team since that 2001 team to have a chance to go to the Final Four.
Now, also, Saul, this is something I wanted to ask you, keying in on this 2001 celebration that took place at halftime. 2001 is the year I was born, right? There were a lot of students. No, listen, there are a lot of students. Oh, relax. It was going to get worse. It was going to get worse. Because my question to Saul was going to be, we got students that were born in like 07, right? Mm-hmm. Let me get to that now that he puts his headphones back
True.
in. Yeah, so yeah, you see where I'm going with this, Damon. You see where I'm going. Now maybe Saul might hear where I'm going with this question. Because Saul, I was born in 2001, which made you throw your headphones out. But there are students there that were born in like 2007, 2008, right? So what were the vibes like at halftime when you bring out a team from 25 years ago? How was it received from the current student body? Were they just as hyped as when Brayden Burries and Koa Peat are coming out in the intros? Because I would love to hear that we have a fan base that appreciates history, is what I'm trying to say here.
It's hard to judge the students for this one because unfortunately the big names weren't here, and that's the unfortunate. Like Richard Jefferson, Gilbert Arenas, Luke Walton, none of them were here. The biggest name that was out here was Jason Gardner. That's obviously because he's on the coaching staff. So it's kind of hard to judge when, like, listen, like some of these guys, hell, even I forgot like who that that 12th, 13th, 14th guy was on the end of the bench. Like outside of John Ash, who was also on the 97 team, like that's really the only name that I remembered outside of the guys that actually played. So, Justin Wessel was another another name that came out and that everybody kind of recognized in the crowd. So it's kind of hard to hold it against the student section because for the most part, there wasn't a notable name that you can remember. None of the guys that got announced played in the NBA. None of the guys were household names. None of the guys are in the media. None of the guys are really relevant in the U of A space, quote unquote, outside of what they did on the court at that time. And that's no disrespect. It's just like, gone and forgotten, unfortunately. And that's why you have moments like this tonight where you bring those guys back and you kind of, remember what the good times were and try to educate. But so, yeah, it wasn't really much. It was the respectful round of applause, and that was about it.
So we're talking about some teams of the past here on the AZ Wildcats postgame show. 2001 Arizona Wildcats team. I want to take us back in the time machine, back to 1993. Talk about a little team called the Arizona Desert Swarm defense. Saul, giving up less than 30 rushing yards per game. Were we watching that tonight in the basketball form? Because that was an absolutely ridiculous defensive performance.
I believe so. Yeah, that's a good reference right there too. I love that.
Feel free to throw a retweet. I tweeted it.
well, I would say it was tonight's performance was very reminiscent of that 29-0 beatdown of the Miami Hurricanes in the Fiesta Bowl from that same team. I would say that this was just utter dominance on both ends of the court, especially defensively, and even the foul calls. There was a couple that I was like, bro, that was a clean ass block. What are you talking about, right? Oklahoma State had no answer. Anthony Roy had to play the game of his life tonight for any chance. Nobody else was stepping up. You could see the hesitancy on Oklahoma State's players. And, listen, when I asked their coach, hey, there was a couple times where they would run their sets and Clark especially would maybe come off a screen and it looked like he had the opportunity to pull from like mid-range or anything like that, but he was kind of running the offense. And all I could think of was, they're giving you that for a reason. And if you're not going to take it, that might be the best shot you're going to get in this entire possession, which ultimately became true. I mean, about 90% of the time. And when you're playing against a team like Arizona and you don't have the caliber players that they do, you can't play gunshot. You just can't. You have to play a little bit outside your comfort zone, and you got to hope that you're hitting that night. Otherwise, it's going to be a long night. And I think we're starting to see that. And that's what good defensive teams will do, is they will force you to go to your fourth, fifth, sixth option and see if you're going to really be comfortable with that. That's why this Arizona team is so unique, because they can go to their fourth or fifth or sixth option if they have to play a team that forces them to get away from their post or Jaden Bradley. And what are you going to do? Okay, Brayden Burries is going to get you. If Kharchenkov is going to get you. You're like, they have options outside of what you see. So that's just what it is. So to your point, yes, the basketball version of Arizona Desert Swarm might be alive and well here in McKale.
I got one more thing for Saul on this game, and then I don't know if Kevin has anything else, but it's been a lot of positive, Saul, all throughout the night, but I want to talk about one thing that maybe is a little bit more negative. He ended up salvaging the night, 11 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, but Koa Peat, another slow start for him. What do you attribute these kind of consistent slow starts to?
I don't. Listen, I'll worry about it if he has like 6 points against Kansas. I just feel like he's a big game player. And yeah, at BYU, he probably didn't have like his typical like high level Koa Peat game, but even in that game, he had moments where he kind of saved the day. That big jump shot when the lead was cut, double teamed basically at the top of the key, as big a shot as Arizona's had all year. So
Utah hasn't seen a mid range like that since that mid range shot.
Yeah. So I'm not too worried about Koa. Glad he's not hurt. That was a little scary. Mm-hmm. But I will panic if we play. Now we're getting to the back half of the games, which is another note, by the way. We're getting to the back half of these games where the best of the best are coming up, starting Monday at Kansas, and we'll see what Koa's about. We'll see what Koa's about, because they're gonna force him to try to win these games, or play higher at a higher level than maybe he had been. But typically he does. So I'm not too concerned about that. The other note I did have was, it did come up in the post-game presser that Arizona had the heads up early on that when the schedule was going to come out, the tougher games were going to be in the back half. What I didn't know until tonight was that it was purposeful by the Big 12. They wanted the back half to be loaded because they wanted the premier matchups to come after Super Bowl. And so, which I was not really aware of. I didn't know that was a thing. So starting Monday night, that's why you see the big dogs in the conference have 4 or 5, or in this case, 6 of their toughest games of the schedule in their last 9. And that's for a reason, because they want that primetime matchup, and they want everybody to know who Texas Tech, Kansas, Arizona, Houston really are and what they're really about, because they think that's going to help them in the postseason.
Yeah.
Absolute Kharchenkov.
It is going to be absolute Kharchenkov. Absolute Kharchenkov. Hopefully we can absolutely get Kharchenkov on again before the end of Big 12 season. But look, before we get to Kansas, I did want to continue on Koa Peat for just one more second, because to Saul's point, I feel like even in games where Koa Peat is not having his best performance, he's so good. And more specifically, he's such a physical force that it's hard to keep him from like impacting the game from a winning standpoint. Like, he might not have the best counting stats at the end of a game, but like the things he's doing get Arizona to that point. Like the doubles they're having to send at Koa Peat. If they don't send a double at Koa Peat, he's just going to get 20 a game, right? So they send that double, and then the offense really starts from that point. And I think that his ability to like continue to evolve as a I'll say hub of the offense, I think is really special, because he doesn't have a jumper really. In fact, when he jumps, I sometimes watch through my hands. I'm like, is he gonna make that jump shot? But like his ability to be a hub of offense without having a consistent jumper from really any range at all is incredibly special.
His floor is very high.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, especially in those
sure.
big games. But I want to ask Saul about this Kansas matchup and a lot more after our second and final break here on the AZ Wildcats podcast. So stick around, leave a like, and do not go anywhere. Unless you're going to, I don't know, Damon, Circle K to potentially get some Three Amigos Blanco or
America's Thirst Stop.
gas or Arizona lottery scratchers or snacks or beverages or to hit the beer cave, or Circle K has literally everything, right? They talk about some of these other gas stations as being like, oh, it's like you gotta go there, it's like a big event, because they don't have any locations. Circle K is everywhere. Circle K is your best friend because why? They're always there for you. I went to Circle K 2 days ago because I needed to. I needed to go to Circle K, and they're there for me when I needed them most. If you want to save money like me, like Damon, like Saul, you can become an Inner Circle member for free today and save 25 cents off on your first 5 fill-ups, 3 cents off on every single fill-up after that until you graduate. Take that cap from one side to the other, or tassel from, you know what I'm trying to say, and you graduate from that 3 cents off class to the 5 cents off per gallon class. And that's not even to mention their random fuel days that they'll throw out there. You might get 40 cents off per gallon on a random Wednesday in May just because Circle K was feeling generous that week. So join the Inner Circle for free today by downloading that Circle K app for free. Terms and conditions do apply. Visit CircleK.com for more details. Only at participating locations, by the way.
Circle K, the K is for Kharchenkov, but of course, if you're talking about the Arizona Wildcats, you're talking about the AZ Wildcats podcast, you're talking about branded bills. Are you looking for some gear to make your brand stand apart from the crowd? Maybe you got a small business like PHNX Sports that you want to help promote, that you want to put a custom logo on, and that maybe you want to, give to some of your employees, maybe sell on a website. Look no further than what Kevin's got on his noggin right now. PHNX Sports canvas hat, part of the canvas collection that just came out with our friends at Branded Bills. I am rocking the campus collection, of course, which features all of the best Arizona Wildcats headwear in the game. So if you guys are looking for a snapback, a fitted, a beanie, a trucker, even a t-shirt, Branded Bills has gotten you fitted with the ultimate custom of headwear and apparel in the game. And Arizona Wildcats world is no different. If you're out there at McKale Center for this one, I'm sure you saw nothing but branded bills all over the place, and for good reason. They are so comfortable, so stylish, and they have so many great options and styles for the Arizona Wildcat fans in your life. So if you want to be, someone that is looking to make your brand stand apart from the crowd, a small business owner or something of the sort, or you just want to support the Arizona Wildcats and get some in on that campus collection, Branded Bills has you covered at both. For brandedbills.com, promo code BBPHNX, get 15% off your first order. Again, that's at brandedbills.com, promo code BBPHNX.
Now, Saul, our guy Saul, has not been watching a ton of NBA basketball this year because you had the #1 college basketball team. But I have a question before we get to Kansas. Saul, will you be watching the NBA dunk contest? Because as Roberto put in the chat and as we put out on Twitter, and we didn't break the news, but we were talking about it earlier on Twitter, Carter Bryant, we knew would be in the dunk contest with, we won't talk about the other guy he got announced with that plays for, I think, the Lakers or wherever the hell he plays from. Should be playing for, never mind. But Keshad Johnson gets announced as well in the dunk contest. You have Keshad Johnson and Carter Bryant. Is that good enough to get Saul Bookman to tune in?
Dunk you.
Maybe.
Dude, I genuinely think Carter Bryant wins it. Am I insane? I think Carter Bryant wins the dunk contest.
If he can hold on to the basketball at the top.
I don't know if Carter Bryant's going to win it. I would say Keshad Johnson's probably got a better shot at winning it than Carter.
That's fair. Let's get to some real hoops. Let's get to some real hip hop. Arizona versus Kansas on Monday at Allen Fieldhouse. Saul, I am going to pass you the ball here, pass you the rock. Take us, lead this conversation, because there's so many different ways we could go. We could go the Darryn Peterson route. We could go the front court versus back court route. We could go the Bill Self, Tommy Lloyd route. We can go the history route. So which way does Saul want to go tonight?
I think we should start off with the obvious, which is obviously Darryn Peterson. Just phenomenal. He's a phenomenal player. I will say this, though. He's not – I think you're going to let him do what he's going to do, kind of like what you did AJ DeBounce. Except you just can't – you've got to make sure that you are not within striking distance in terms of Kansas being close to you with less than 2 minutes left to go, because he will find a way, and you got to make sure of that. Right now, Arizona can find a way too. I'm not saying that, but oh man, it's gonna be a fun game. Listen, Tommy knows that they're going into a hostile environment. And Tommy didn't say it, but I know based on what he saw last year and how much he revered that atmosphere, I know, and basically what he said in the post game, that he thinks this is the toughest environment in all of college basketball. And if you don't think that they're not going to be absolutely lit up for the number one team in the country coming into Fog Allen Fieldhouse on Monday night, Big Monday, man, it's going to be crazy. Now that is going to be absolute Kharchenkov at that point, because it's going to be awesome. Arizona has the better team overall, but I mean, Kansas has won 8 in a row, I think. They beat Iowa State, they beat Texas Tech, they beat BYU, and you saw against Texas Tech on the road in Lubbock, Texas Tech played with their food down the stretch when they were up by 9 with just about a little bit over 4 minutes left to go, and guess who found a way to win it? Darryn Peterson. So you got to make sure that you flex your muscle, you dominate, put this game out of reach before it even gets down to that last 4 minutes. Because if it's close, I mean, they got a guy that can take over the game, and it doesn't matter what you try to do, because the best players in the country, the best players in all of college basketball, you could double team them if you want. It still might not matter. And in the case of Darryn Peterson, he's definitely one of those dudes.
You know, Saul, am I crazy? Is Flory Badunga the best center Arizona's faced since like early non-conference? Am I crazy? He's pretty damn good.
I'm trying to think of one better.
He's good. I mean, man,
because we haven't faced like Mara, we haven't faced like, you know what I'm saying, some of these other national guys that get center love. Florida's front court is more of a
Condon might be the answer there, but that's first game of the season.
Yeah, I would say that was probably the best one. I mean, he's close. I would say we'll see how he plays on Monday night. Okay, we'll see how he plays on Monday night.
I say that to say this. I'm interested in that matchup. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because he hasn't really faced dominant bigs either, and so like when you know the two strengths collide, who's really got the bigger one? And we saw with Kiba Keita, as dominant as we feel like he could be down low in the post, when he matched up against Tobe Awaka and Krivas, you know, largely, you know, he was a factor at times, but he wasn't nearly the factor that he has been in other games. So it's different when you got to play against our dudes, and our dudes are just different. And then not to mention, like, you got those two, you know, behemoths down there, and then you got to throw another behemoth who's a little bit more athletic and versatile, like Koa Peat. And a lot of that is just like, man, will y'all just get off me for a second? You know what I mean? That's how it's going to feel for him for a little while.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how Kansas's guards deal with that, because I think that KU might be like the deepest team Arizona's faced in a while when you consider, in terms of like their actual like starting lineup skill set. Like Melvin Council could go for 30 in a game against Arizona, mostly because you're so focused on shutting down Darryn Peterson. Like Trey White has shown the ability to get hot, like real hot this season as well. Player. And I think like what Kansas has put together from a roster building standpoint this year should really worry a lot of teams, specifically in the tournament when that time comes around. But Saul, what do you make about some of the others on Kansas, and what's Arizona going to have to do to make sure Melvin Council doesn't have one of these, you know, big storyline performances like he's had against some other teams this year?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Melvin Council is got that herky-jerky kind of awkward kind of game, much like Mo Odom does, you know, but obviously far different in terms of body type, right? You know, Council's a little bit longer, a little taller, so and he loves to attack the rim. That's the thing, right? But again, I go back to this. You can attack the rim all you want, but there has not been a lot of teams, if any, that have found much success trying to attack the rim the way Kansas likes to, and Arizona prevents a lot of that from happening. So Council's good, but I would say I would go back to Trey White. We're Trey White, right? Yeah, Trey White.
Yeah.
We're White. Tall, lengthy, can shoot the three at a high clip. I hate his jump shot. I just hate it, but it's wet damn near all the time. So like more props to him. Hashtag Team Lightskin. He 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 he's the guy that has the height and the ability to get his shot off clean in most times. And so the matchup with him is going to be interesting. I don't know, because you're going to focus a lot on Peterson and you're going to focus a lot on Council because they predominantly handle the ball more than anybody else on that team. But Trey White on the perimeter is somebody you have to always keep an eye on. You can't just sag off your man and leave him open because he will torch you. So it'll be interesting to see how this all works out and what the strategy will be. Tonight you saw, listen, they started 4 guards for Oklahoma State, and immediately you were like, it's over. Like they got no chance. It's not happening. They're going to pound them down low in the paint. Well, and when you look at the athleticism of Kansas, from a athleticism standpoint, they can be a little suspect, in my opinion. They have athleticism, but it's not elite athleticism. And so, to me, the advantage Arizona has is they have athleticism. They can match up with you at every single position. There is no matchup for Kansas that they can bludgeon to death. There isn't. Even when you talk about Darryn Peterson, I'm going to sit here and tell you that he's not going to like playing against Kharchenkov. Kharchenkov tonight.
Who does?
I watched. Nobody does. Kharchenkov tonight. I watched him against Anthony Roy, and for about.
Oh, I think we might have lost Saul there for a second. We'll get Saul loaded back in here shortly. Yeah, we'll get Saul back in there. Oh,
he's good now.
Yeah, Saul, welcome back. You're talking about Kharchenkov's defense.
Oh man. Yeah, I watched him for about 4 or 5 straight possessions against Anthony Roy, and Anthony Roy wanted no part of it. Didn't even touch the ball in some of those possessions because Kharchenkov was like, "Yeah, like I'm locking you up. That's what I'm going to do." Now he's not going to lock up Darryn Peterson. Darryn Peterson is a way more versatile type of player, but still athleticism and shot making ability are huge, and Darryn Peterson has that in spades. But Ivan Kharchenkov is an elite defender, So I don't really know if Kansas has an answer. I think Arizona has multiple answers to combat whatever Kansas is going to throw their way. But I say all that with the caveat. It is different when you play in Fog versus when you play here in McKale. And that is going to have a significant effect. BYU, when they started that game, it was loud, but because Arizona was able to like match them bucket for bucket until they made their run at about the 8-minute mark, that crowd couldn't really get juiced too much, right? Like a good solid run to get them going, right? I can guarantee you Kansas is going to have a run at some point in that game. And it's not going to take very long into that game for them to get, 4 or 6 in a row. And it kind of make it a little unnerving. How is Arizona going to answer? They have multiple people that are used to that environment, Jaden Bradley being one of them, that can settle everything down. But it's just going to feel different. I promise you. And I said this last year, and people got upset with Tommy about like Kansas and him giving Kansas, that environment in Kansas so much love. If you've never been there, shut the F up. Like, seriously. Because until you don't know until you know. And the first time I ever walked in there wasn't even for an Arizona game. It was KU, Oklahoma back in 2014. Buddy Hield in Kansas. Oklahoma was like the number 3 team in the country, and they got mollywalked. Okay? Because it's different to play in the Fog. It just is. It always has been, and it always will be. It's just different. This team can handle it. Don't get me wrong. But it's not going to be light work. And they better come out with their A game, which I expect them to.
I think it's probably the most difficult place to play in the country. Kevin and I were kind of going through it in our heads. And, I think, a lot's made of Duke as well and the Cameron Crazies. But I think KU is definitely almost the mecca of college hoops when you're talking about, the fan environment, the atmosphere just around those games.
When you walk in there for the first time, like it's just different. Like I've been in a million different arenas, high school, junior high, YMCA, pro, it doesn't matter. That gym, when I walked in, it was like I felt the spirit. I felt we were in
the Holy Ghost.
I'm telling you, the basketball Holy Ghost was there and alive. I promise you. I'm telling you. So I can't emphasize this enough. If you never do anything else on your basketball bucket list, you got to go to Fog Island because it is truly a special experience, and it's going to be special on Monday night when Arizona has an opportunity to win that matchup. Because it's just different. It's just different. That's all I can say. Okay, I've elaborated on that too much.
It's also good point here by our who put it in there, Big 12 Bobby, saying that the 4 freshmen, the only thing that they've really experienced close to that is the game in Stores at UConn, and I do think that environment maybe could help kind of prepare this team for playing in that true road game and going toe to toe with one of the better teams in the country, because Connecticut has 2 losses. Arizona is one of them. They lost just last night to St. John's, and that's a crazy place to play as well. So hopefully, there was some lessons learned from that matchup. But one thing that Kansas does have, as well as Arizona, a lot's been made of them jumping up to number 1 in defensive rating on KenPom after this game. But Kansas is right there with Arizona at number 6. Do you think that, this is the required defensive chops that are needed to take down the Wildcats?
Yeah. I mean, if anybody has those athleticism wise to match up at every position as best you can, they're going to come as close as anybody else in the country. So I will say that. But again, it's just different when you're talking about physicality. If the refs call the game the way they called the game tonight and have called other Arizona games, it's going to be hard for either team to really get their footing enough to really be dominant, right? I don't imagine this game is going to be a blowout either way. I think it'll be a relatively close game, but Arizona has the matchup edge overall when you're looking at it position by position, and it's hard to even look at it position by position because we have so many guys that can play versatile positions. That's why switching up on defense is not really a big deal for these guys because they can guard 1 through 4 or 2 through 5. So and Kansas can too. But they don't have quite the size necessary down low. And I would say that's this. If there's an edge to either team, it would be that's the edge.
Now we talk about these freshmen, not having experience in atmosphere like on the road against Kansas. A top 10 Kansas, I'll say they're number 11. Ooh, sue me. But look, in your opinion, Saul, who are some of the upperclassmen, some of the older guys on this team that Arizona is really gonna, when we're on the post game Monday night and we're talking about, wow, Arizona 24-0, right? It's thanks to who? Who are some of the older guys on this team? I know Jaden Bradley is hovering above this conversation right now, but who are some guys you're looking towards on Monday? All right, we're gonna need something out of you, and you in order to get this done.
Well, I mean, there's only 4 of them, so there's not a lot to pick from. So Tobe, obviously, I think Tobe was probably up there. But listen, maybe it's going to be Delhi. Listen to you. Hey, I'm not asking for the world, but if my guy hits 2 or 3 threes, that could make all the difference. And he becomes a viable threat, right? And that's what he's got to prove, is that he is a threat on the perimeter, because they're going to try and throw doubles at Koa. They're going to try and throw doubles at Tobe every time he gets the ball down low on the post. Krivas. If Jaden tries to take it to the rack, they're going to try and cut that off. So who's going to be open? It's going to be maybe Kharchenkov on the perimeter, Delhi on the perimeter. They will force Arizona to shoot threes. I do think that they're going to pack the paint. Now, I don't think they're going to play zone. I would be surprised if they threw it out there a couple times just to pack it in and force Arizona to shoot from the perimeter. But I'd be shocked if they did, but you never know, especially in a game like this. It's just a wrinkle, right? You just throw it out there every now and then. So I would say that Tobe Awaka and Delhi, if I had to pick.
Saul, your breakdown and analysis is so strong, we just got a new member to the channel.
Hey.
Steve 08171, thank you for becoming a member. Drop your Tommy emojis in the chat if you're feeling so froggy. But yeah, thank you for supporting this channel. You've now unlocked members only content, and if you want to get like Steve, become a member, become a Supporters Club member. You get emojis, you get free content, exclusive content, I should say rather, to the channel, members only content. Me and Damon dropped our top 5 matchups of the last 9 or so games of the season. So if you want to talk about that stuff while you still can before we play Kansas, go get it now. You've just unlocked that. So become like Steve, become like Bill, become like Deborah, become like White Burrito, and all of our great supporting club members, and join the club. Just a cup of coffee a month, $4.99, I believe, right?
Yeah, it's just $5 a month. And of course, we put just a little quick peek behind the curtain. We chose Kansas, I think both of us collectively, as at Kansas, at Fog, as the toughest matchup for Arizona, the one we're most excited for rest of the way, because this place is such a crazy place to play. And Saul Bookman, I do want to ask you before we get you out of here, because
he wants to talk about Kelvin Sampson, I think.
You think Houston is more a tougher matchup?
Yes. It doesn't even matter environment. You could play out in the park. Houston's going to be the toughest matchup no matter what. They could play here in McKale. Houston is going to be the toughest matchup that they have the rest of the year, in my opinion.
But Saul, Kelvin Sampson said they're poor.
Well, they're poor. No, they're poor.
I'm kidding.
Poor. They're poor in the future. Right now, they're okay. So, yeah.
No, yeah. Right now they are okay. And Saul, is there anything else you wanted to get off about Kansas before you got off this show here? Because I know we don't have any more pods before Monday night. It'll just be me and Damon yapping on the pregame show.
My question, chain snatch straight from me right here.
No, go ahead.
No.
Go ahead. Ask your question.
I was just going to ask if Saul had a prediction for us for the Kansas game. I assume that's kind of the grounds you were leaning on.
Yeah. I was just going to say, we don't got nothing between now and the game. So everything you got to get off right now, Saul, go ahead and say your piece.
Okay. My prediction for Monday is Arizona 72, Kansas 69.
Nice. Well, that's terrifying.
There you go.
That score terrifies me.
We're
going to be getting some clutch Darryn Peterson buckets, and that scares the hell out of me.
It's going to be a close game, in my opinion. I think it's going to be a close game. Now, remember, on Thursday night during McKale Madness, I felt like this game was going to be a dog walking, and that Oklahoma State did not have the juice. I just didn't feel like they had the juice. I didn't care what they did against BYU. It's BYU. Everybody's stomping BYU right now. We broke them. It doesn't matter. And so, I don't care about BYU. Plus, that game was in Stillwater. Everybody gets gassed up when you're in your own hood. When you come to our territory, let's see if you still have that same confidence. We saw they didn't. So that's just what it is. Also, the last thing I will say is, we got some cool followers, and we got some cool supporters of the pod. And I've mentioned Sheila Chavez multiple times on this show. And she came up, and look, she got me a shirt. She got me a little throwback shirt.
Wow.
Throwback shirt
that's fire too.
That is fire.
Man. That is pretty cool.
Tough.
What a piece.
So
that's fire.
I'd kill for a piece like that.
Not only did she get me one shirt, she got me two shirts because she didn't know what color I would like. I mean,
we love Sheila.
Sheila's
the goat.
Awesome.
She's amazing. Saul goes down to McKale. I just figured out Saul's play. He goes down to McKale because people just give him presents every time that he shows up. Whether it's JV's family, whether it's our friend Sheila, of course, friend of the program. Unbelievable. It's Christmas every day when Saul Bookman's at McKale Center.
Listen, one of the things I would like to say is about a year ago, somebody in some message board said that Saul looks like he's probably a phony. And I'm just like, if you've ever met me in person, and I've ever been rude to you, then please let me know. But I'm pretty sure most people that come up to me, I say, hey, how you doing? I ask what your name is, how long you've been a fan. I engage in conversation. I'm a friendly guy when I'm not somebody's boss. And so
I was going to say, look, one thing about Saul Bookman, he might upset you in a way, but he's never going to be phony with you. He might be a little bit too direct, but he's never going to be phony.
Thank you.
Sure.
Like of all things for me to be called a phony, I'm like, dude, I'm pretty direct. It's one of my biggest weaknesses is that sometimes I'm too direct and people don't like to hang with me because they're like, man, he's always telling me oh, this sucked and this sucked and this sucked. And I'm like, well, that's my job. I'm sorry, guys. So it is what it is. But
we appreciate all your hard work for us over here at AZ Wildcats and podcast and for PHNX Sports, Saul Bookman. And of course, we just want you to get back safe up to the valley.
That's the broom. You just sweep me off. Okay.
Yeah, this is the cane grabbing you by the hip and pulling you off right now.
The cane. Da-da-da. Bye, guys.
But no, in all seriousness, though, Saul, it has been awesome having you on tonight. And you're going to be in Kansas, right? You'll be at Kansas or no?
I will not be at Kansas.
Whoa. No Saul at Kansas.
No. I know. Listen, man, I'm balling on a budget, and I got to pay for these trips out of my own pocket. Sponsors. So, hook a brother up and I'll travel. But, hey, you got to save up for these things. And I was like, yeah, I went to Kansas last year. I wanted to go to Houston this year because I knew that was going to be a big one. I wanted to go to Provo since it was only a $49 round trip ticket. Hello. And then I expect to go to San Diego and San Jose. So, we got to save up these ducats so that way, we can make a good run, and hopefully we'll find ourselves in Indianapolis, and I won't have to pay for that trip. So there you go.
If you want to catch some more Saul Bookman, of course, the McKale Madness podcast every single week on this very same channel. Corey Williams, Saul Bookman, Kevin Thomas, they're talking the most in-depth breakdown of Arizona basketball, all the news throughout the week here on PHNX Sports YouTube channel.
Are you guys doing a watch-along?
For Monday, Kansas?
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah.
I mean, holla at your boy. I'm just sitting there watching the game like you guys.
All right. Let's make it happen. Let's get Saul Bookman in studio.
I'm pretty sure Corey might be available too. I'm just saying.
That would be different. That would be totally different. That'd be fire. I would love that. Let's look into that, Saul. Let's dig into that a little bit deeper.
I got you.
But
my people will talk to your people. We'll figure something out.
Appreciate you guys. Have a good rest of your weekend, and go Seahawks because the Patriots. There we go.
Absolutely. That's a man that's out for my heart right there. Saul Bookman. Follow him at Saul_Bookman on all social media. And, of course, follow his great work for McKale Madness podcast. Always popping on, bringing the energy for us for the Arizona Wildcats home games here and the various road games that he travels to as well. Saul, boots on the ground with the best of them, Kevin.
Boots on the ground and boots flying in the air as well as he travels for this podcast. So, we're not done covering this game. We do have you already know what time it is. Love the play of the game with our friends over at Arizona Lottery. And yes, Saul did censor himself, but we will not pull any punches with our love the play of the game. Damon, what do you got for your love the play of the game?
You know what? Saul mentioned it when he came on for the appearance, and I mentioned it right before Saul popped on. So I feel like it's just got to be the love the play of the game. How about Anthony Del Orso getting dirty, diving on the floor, not having the best offensive performance that he's had, and then using that to kind of ladder into putting together some really solid possessions here thereafter. So I love to see that kind of effort from a guy that is not known to be a defender, is not, that's not really his role on this team. And he's a senior, and the team was up 35 points, as Saul said. He's still getting dirty, treating it like it's a single possession game in the NCAA tournament. Love to see it. Shout out Delhi for that level of effort.
Shout out Delhi and shout out Smooth, man. Shout out JV Smooth.
Don't do it to him.
Chat, can I get a Smooth? Because JV Smooth, man, Jaden Bradley, those two tomahawk jams. I said it to Damon in the live in the moment. I said, by God, is that Caleb Love's music? The way he stormed down the lane and punched it on the defender. I mean, you really don't see Jaden Bradley go to the rim with such vertical aggression. You usually see him with aggression on the I'm looking to get a layup side of things, but not often do you see JB hit that free throw line and go, I'm taking off on him right now, and he did. I feel like that's my play of the game. Oh,
don't do it to him, Smooth.
Don't do it to him. Smooth, he got a family. Smooth.
When he popped on the podcast, we should have hit him with some Smooths.
Next time. But
next time for sure.
Honorable mention to what was it? Oh no!
I love the Jaden Bradley. It was actually a Del Orso deflection that led to a Jaden Bradley really good, kind of grab out of the air, mossed it, and then threw it up to Koa Peat for the dunk. That whole sequence just felt very 2025, 2026 Arizona basketball. So that would be my honorable mention if I was given one.
I was going to say my honorable mention. I'm trying to find it on these highlights to see if it's in there. But CD Gay had to play in this game, and I forget exactly what it was. Someone in the chat tell me.
Wasn't it he got a rebound, threw up an outlet pass to was it Kharchenkov who made the finish?
Something like that. But CD Gay, I just wanted to give him a shout out, and I love the play of the game. I love that he got to play in this game because CD Gay is going to be awesome. I feel like watching him play the game of basketball, you're like, that guy's pretty damn good for as much development as he still has yet to get.
Yeah. He's
pretty damn good. And I like watching CD Gay play. I know that he's not really the level enough to give you significant minutes on this year's team, but people have been asking me, who's going to be the big next year? Who could do this? CD Gay is going to throw his name in that hat, I'm telling you right now. If another summer of workouts, another, a couple pounds of muscle on him, he could throw his name in that hat. But yeah, I just love to see him get some minutes. Love to see him get some good reps out there.
Also, I can't believe I didn't lead off with this for my love to play of the game. We got 5 points out of Evan Nelson.
Oh
5.
My God. Love
Cinco,
the plays.
This many. Unbelievable. That's my guy. That's my guy, Evan Nelson, putting on for his city. Love to see it. Love to see the human. What do I call him? The human embodiment of a win out there on the court. The human white flag, Evan Nelson, means the other team is done. Done.
They're not the Nelson kneel down, bro. That's crazy. That's insane. The human QB kneel. Oh my God.
I love it.
That's awesome. That's incredible.
I love to see Evan Nelson out there on the court. It means good things for Arizona basketball.
It does. It does.
And also, let me just add, thank you to our super chat right here. Ball in the blood, $2. Appreciate you. If you got a comment that you want to kind of add on to that guy, Kevin and I would be happy to read it here on the AZ Wildcats podcast. But there was one more thing that I wanted to talk about, Kevin.
Ooh.
Now I'm blanking.
Qu'est-ce que c'est?
Oh, time to put our BYU hats on. It's time. And it feels bad. And listen, hand up, guys. You know me. You know Damon, dog. I've been right there hating on BYU with the best of them. Going back to all this football season. Going back to last basketball season with the egregious Tony Padilla disaster class foul call on the Richie Saunders shot called on Trey Townsend. I'll remember it on my deathbed, Kevin. But we are now officially, as of this moment, as for tonight, the rest of today, a BYU Cougars podcast. How do you feel?
Didn't like the end of that sentence. I like the message behind it, though.
It's
it is the battle of the Cougs,
brother.
as Brian says. It's the battle of the Cougs. And I do, you know what? I'll say this. I'll do you this much. I'll say this. I won't go as far as say we're a BYU pod right now, but, AJ DeBansa, what do you got in here? What do you got in here?
Wow.
Your team is struggling, sputtering. You put up 24 against the number 1 team in the country, still didn't get the job done. People said you stink. People putting that video out there, you putting in fries in bags at McDonald's. What do you got in here? Your game is being questioned, AJ DeBansa.
Are you going to be on one tonight?
Your conference season is literally on the line. Do you care about it, or only do you care what line your name is on in the draft night? What's in here, AJ? What's in here? So yeah, we're not a Cougars podcast, but I damn sure want to see what AJ DeBansa got in his bag versus Bill. You read my mind. My sweet, sweet son. I feel like Kingston Flemings is my son, man. Kingston Flemings. I cannot wait for this matchup, man. You got AJ DeBansa,
You're
big,
like 5 years older than Kingston Flemings, maybe 4.
But that's little bro, I guess. Whatever you want. That's because little bro feels disrespectful. But my sweet, sweet boy, Kingston Flemings, feels very nice, Either way, that matchup is absolute Kharchenkov, and I cannot wait to watch that. What's that, 8:30 tonight?
Yeah.
I'm excited for that. So, yeah.
W puts in here that I was low-key the reason that BYU was so good last year, and I argue even better this year. Listen.
You're a psycho.
Oh, Damon.
I was like, you're a psycho. Yegor Damon.
I thought I was, I get some crazy names here in the chat.
You do. Damien, Dameen, Damoon,
I thought
Damon.
it was just a misspelling. I get it.
Oh, I get where you're coming from, but I just thought it was hilarious.
I feel you. Sorry about that. Lost Highway says Team BYU hater founding member. 100%. I feel like it's me and Lost Highway. We've been sitting here all season, dating back to last season. Like, we've just been hating on BYU, and now it's time to flip the script here.
Yeah, it is.
I am a BYU Cougar. I was born to be a BYU Cougar today, on this very day. Also, I love Bill's comment. Got to highlight that as well. You got to imagine seeing Evan Nelson come off the bench is like seeing Mariano Rivera running out of the pen.
They should legitimately do the thing where from when Evan Nelson gets up off the bench, like he stands up, he's walking towards the middle to check in. They should get the camera on him and play the do as Evan Nelson is walking to check in.
That's dead now that Edwin Diaz signed with the Dodgers, by the way.
But it can restart with Evan Nelson. It can restart.
He's the new trumpet song guy.
He's the new trumpet song guy. We can get a different trumpet. I don't even care. It can be a different song completely. I just think he needs closer music. You're putting in Evan Nelson. I want to see him walking to check in. I want to see him tapping the table going, I'm ready. Are you ready to end the game? Because I'm ready to get into the game. Let's go. And then, the close. I know we call Jaden Bradley the closer, but is Evan Nelson, I don't know. Who closes for the closer?
The dude who sweeps the pitching mound at the end of the night, puts the tarp on, right?
Yeah.
The grounds crew.
Yeah. Well, it was a fun run of Evan Nelson as the closer while we lasted until we realized that analogy does not work and is in fact disrespectful.
Basketball and football guy. I was on the same class as him. I was 2 years older than Evan Nelson, but we did go to South Point at the same time.
Wow. I mean, Lancers drink.
For life, bro. Lancer life is forever. Everyone
Lancers
knows
mentioned.
that.
We have a couple Tommy Lloyd clips before we get on out of here tonight, Damon. And shout out to Cohen Kinney as always, doing great work for us down there in Tucson. We were talking about Anthony Dell'Orso today, yesterday, the day before that, a week or two before then. When is he going to get going? This is Tommy Lloyd talking about Anthony Dell'Orso right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, Delly's been good. We had a good conversation yesterday. Delly's a great dude, a high character guy, and he's here for it. So, I'm happy to see him have a little bit of success because I'm sure that makes him feel a little bit better. But, I just told him, there's really no scenario I see where I don't keep giving him opportunities. So he's earned that and he deserves that, and our team needs it from him. So it was great contributions from him today.
Yo, did you guys peep that during that clip, the Coca-Cola no free ads was perfectly blending into Tommy Lloyd's little shirt there? Next clip we play, peep that. Try to look for that. But
also listen to the words Tommy's saying.
Yes. Well, yeah, we're always listening to Tommy, but not always do you get the Coca-Cola perfectly camoed into Tommy's arm. Either way, though, I think Delly is a guy that you've seen it. He's been kind of up and down as a Wildcat from a shooting and scoring perspective in general, if you really look at the ebbs and flows of his career at Arizona. But I think him, like Saul said, being able to contribute with those two passes, continuing to dive on the floor, it shows the head's not gone. It shows that he is still focused on just the next one's got to go in. The next one's got to go in. If that one doesn't go in, then the next one's got to go in. I think Delly does have that mentality, and you saw it. Like you pointed it out in the moment. You pointed it out on the show. What a crazy, insane comment. But Delly, his mindset, like he hits that three and the weight just falls off his shoulders. So he feels it too. But yeah, I do think he's built for it, Damon, as well.
No doubt. What else we have from our head man, Tommy Lloyd?
Part of that criticism for Delly, I feel like just ends up being noise. This is Tommy Lloyd and, a lot of other things going on. So you end up becoming noise, being number one, being undefeated. This is Tommy Lloyd on the focus and trying to shut out some of that noise right now for Arizona, the number one undefeated team in the country.
We always talk about day to day, possession by possession, media timeout to media timeout. You just break it up in segments because those are what drive success. So you need to focus on the things that drive success. You don't need to focus on, a potential outcome down the way. That's why we have you guys. You guys get to do all the reviewing, previewing, guessing, okay, and we get to play. So that's why the media and our program make a great team. You guys can do all the thinking and prognosticating, and we just want to play.
The nudist has returned. But look, there's a lot going on around Arizona basketball as Damon tries to charge his laptop. That's why I'm laughing. But it is important to maintain that day-to-day approach. It is important, right, to look to go just simply 1-0 on Monday and then maybe 1-0 in your next game and then maybe you go 1-0 in the next one. It's about having that process-oriented mindset, not the outcome-oriented mindset. But it's always good to hear from Tommy Lloyd. It's always nice to learn a little something from our coach as well. But I think that's all we got today on the AZ Wildcats post-game pod. I mean, look at that score, 47 damn points. They played 40 minutes in a game. 84 for Arizona. Incredible, dominant, record-breaking, historic performance for Arizona. Let's get out of here because we got fried Jayhawk come Monday. And when that is tender and juicy, it is good. Jayhawk, have you ever tried it? Let's taste it on Monday. I'm ready.
I would add in there that one thing that I think went a little under talked about in regards to that game and that matchup is this is a really short turnaround for Arizona as well. Kansas is at home, obviously, and for their short turnaround, that kind of stuff matters. And when you're talking about playing at the upper echelon of the sport, like we are really splitting hairs, especially when it comes to a team as talented as Kansas, right? And so I think that, that could also play a factor here. The obviously the road environment, being one of the meccas of college basketball, going to play a big role as well. And, having a blue chip guy like Darryn Peterson will obviously, have a role to play in this one. Arizona found a way to stop that, and AJ DeBance the last time out when they played against one of these blue chip level NBA draft prospects, but Darryn Peterson might be a little bit of a different animal here that we haven't seen yet. And we're excited to break down that matchup on Monday. We're going to do a watch along. It has been decided. Pre-game, watch along, post-game with the AZ Wildcats podcast crew. Hopefully Saul Bookman joins in for that one. Maybe we can get a call in from one Corey Williams. Could be a lot of fun here, and we will be breaking it all down, providing you with the best Arizona Wildcats coverage you will find out there, whether it's for basketball, women's basketball, football, softball, baseball, you name it. We have a crew that we have assembled, a team, Kevin, the Avengers. Erica Day, Saul Bookman, Damon, Kevin, you name it, Cohen Kinney. We got the crew over here at PHNX Sports. Please subscribe to the channel. We're on our road to 50K. We are so damn close. Less than 100 subscribers away, and you guys can help be that 50,000th subscriber here. I'm looking at the dashboard, Kevin. And
yeah,
we're
like 84. Bang!
84 subscribers away from reaching our 50,000 subscriber goal. So if you haven't subscribed yet, if you're here watching along with us, please do so. Helps us out so much. Subscribe on your favorite podcasting
Wait,
platform.
real quick. I'm looking directly at you, Brian Edwards. I know you want to be that 50,000th.
That might be what Brian's holding on for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Become a part of history.
No doubt. Become a part of history. Follow me at Damon Dog. Follow Kevin at KevoPost. And follow us at PHNX_Wildcats on all social media, except for TikTok, where we're at AZ Wildcats Pod. It's been another banner edition of the AZ Wildcats post-game show. Arizona gets the job done, beating Oklahoma State by 37 points. Unbelievable performance. We saw the AZ Desert Swarm reincarnated out there in the form of a men's basketball team. And we can't wait to be talking about this huge Big Monday matchup against Kansas. So in the meantime, give us all a follow. Appreciate everybody for watching. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you on Monday. Peace out. Bear down.
And go Cats. The best start in Big 12 conference history now belongs to one Arizona Wildcats. How special. Absolute Kharchenkov.
We all silly like the mayor.